So, this is Earth. This is our home. It's yours as well as mine. Their home as well as yours. This is me. I'm a glacier. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of melting. Not because of disappearing, but I'm afraid of hurting people. I'm afraid of hurting you.
When I was young, everyone always talked about the consequences if I melt, but never did anything about it. I had viruses and bacteria inside me that were frozen, like zombie viruses. Let me explain it to you. The diseases of the people living in the Arctic Circle were not different from yours. However, if they died, instead of being buried in the ground, they were buried in permafrost. That was the area that remained permanently frozen, so under glaciers. Therefore, they froze in a very short time. Because they were frozen, their bodies could remain intact for centuries. In fact, sometimes the creatures were buried with their own heat. So the ice around them melted, and with that water, their bodies were frozen again. So they became mummified in a way. Let me tell you the truth. Viruses couldn't reproduce on their own, because they didn't have the proper environment. The temperature and enzyme ranges were not compatible. Due to the low temperature caused by the ice, they lost their ability to be contagious and their ability to survive. There were several samples of viruses that have been tested in the lab, such as the 1918 Spanish flu, which was taken from the lungs of a dead person. It has been proved to be in the body, but it couldn't replicate itself and also couldn't be replicated by scientists. But some scientists stubbornly continued to try, and when scientists conducted experiments, they revived viruses that had not self-replicated. Consequently, there were large epidemics and deaths. But in a way, the viruses were inside me, so I cannot blame the scientists. While this was a possibility, what we had to be afraid of was the methane gas that was frozen inside of me. Scientists clarified that the methane gas, which was frozen in the Arctic Ocean, began to dissolve and spread over a wide area along the East Siberian coast in 2020. They warned that the release of methane would markedly accelerate the pace of global warming. Because of methane, which has a warming effect 80 times stronger than carbon dioxide, the world was damaged very quickly. But people didn't do anything. How could I solve that without help? I tried not to melt. As I melt, there was a more realistic and visible result. The proliferation of water, but nobody noticed. Some countries were flooded. Holland, Italy, and Denmark were the first. As countries went underwater, people suffered. They died, or if they could survive, they became homeless and also unemployed. According to that, there were migrations, and as migrations increased, other countries got crowded. Chaos expanded. The competition between humans increased more than it already was. Some diseases spread, and also, the end of the world came sooner. Not just people died. As the waters melted, there was also an increase in ocean acidity. The underwater life was threatened by it, and many species that depended on it died. Besides, I'm not even mentioning polar bears, penguins, and seals. Their species were running out already. These were denied, but not avoided. Because of me, people suffered. People migrated, people fought, people died. That was just the tip of the iceberg, and they didn't see it coming.